Okay, welcome to the Mystic Path. We're going to do a winter solstice reading, which is tomorrow, December 21st. However, this is timeless. The messages are meant for you whenever you find them and when they resonate for you, okay? I just want to talk a little bit about, there's a Saturn, Jupiter conjunction happening in the planets. They're coming to meet for the first time in 800 years. I think the last time it happened was 1226, which is a long time ago. Okay. And my guides tell me that, back when this happened then, there were also all kinds of new energies coming that will bring forth transition and will make people, deal with themselves, face themselves is what I'm looking for, and live authentically. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, which that's what it's going to be all about. It's going to be, look up the song Fly Like an Eagle by the Steve Miller Band. My guides have been playing that song in my head all this week when I was kind of asking, what this transition means and what's going to be happening. And they kept playing this song in my head, Fly Like an Eagle by the Steve Miller Band. So I went and I looked it up to listen to it and actually really pay attention to what the lyrics were saying, and I mean, it's pretty cool. The song starts out, time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. And then it's like, do, 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 right? In case it reminds you. And then the lyrics go something like, feed the children, shoe the poor, house the homeless. Like, all of the lyrics are very, they're describing a very idealized society where everybody loves each other, where we don't focus so much on time and scheduling and that masculine doing energy. We're moving more towards a time. And again, I love how it starts out. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future, right? That basically means all these old structures and concepts that we've been holding on to so tightly, like I have this schedule, I have to adhere to it. It's the only way I can make a living is 9 to 5, and I have to follow the rules, right? I have to plug into the matrix of what everybody else is doing in order to be successful. And to some degree, that was true for a very, very long time. Like, if you were someone like me who kind of went to the beat of your own drummer and decided for yourself, what you want out of life, is your authentic truth, right? I learned at a very young age with these gifts, my authentic truth was not going to be conforming and getting married and having kids and doing all of that stuff, right? And at one point, if you've followed me for a little bit, you've heard me talk about, I'm sure, my divorce and getting into therapy because of it. And so at one point, I even tried to force myself not to be my authentic self, because I felt like being my authentic self is not working out for me, because you don't fit in, or at least you have the belief that you don't fit in. And to some degree that is true. It's harder for people that go against the grain to have a smooth go of it in the conforming world, like working, church, all those things, right? And I grew up in all those things. Now at 45, I understand, that was my challenge. Part of my soul contract here on this Earth school, because that's what Earth is a school, was to fight against the conformity. And because my family was also very entrenched in that, you conform, you follow the rules, you go to church, you do this, this is what's acceptable as a job, right? So now I understand my soul journey was to learn to be my authentic self in spite of all that programming, right? So, but at the time when it's happening, you don't know that, and it's a struggle sometimes. So I forced myself to live out. I put a mask on basically and decided I'm going to get married, I'm going to do these things. And it was a disaster, to say the least. But the beauty of it, it all happened so that because that's what got me into therapy, because I realized, okay, well, conforming's not working, being myself's not working. What am I doing wrong here? So I got myself into therapy, and I started really investigating myself and getting in touch and connecting with myself. And as I did that, my connection to source got stronger and stronger. It was always there. Because even as a young child, I had like psychic abilities, and I knew I was very different. I brought it up at a slumber party once, and by the way, all the girls looked at me. I knew immediately at like 9 years old, oh, I can't tell this to people. I can't just openly tell people about this. And so, and I'm not the only one that's happened to, my goodness. Okay, that's happened. I don't want to burn these leaves here with this incense. That's happened to many, many people. I'm not the only one. And I'm very privileged in that I didn't have a lot of other things on top of that struggle. Like, I didn't have racial inequality struggles. I didn't have financial inequality struggles. So I recognize how privileged I am that I didn't have those on top of this, because this was hard enough, right? For me, at least. So anyway, I had no idea I was going to talk about all that. They just took me over there for a minute. Just goes to show what I plan isn't always what's going to happen. So I think I'm telling you that story just so we can understand that, like, sometimes even the most traumatic, hard events in our lives, they're for our best good. Like my divorce, it was not good, and I'm not going to get into all that, and it was drawn out over a really long time, and my ex was triggering me at every moment, right? As I'm sure I was triggering him at every moment. It's not that one of us was right or wrong. We both just had issues, right? That we weren't dealing with. So, but it was a very traumatic thing to have to then admit, like, okay, this isn't working either. So, but now I can see 10 years later, that all happened for my highest good, because now I have a wonderful life. I live authentically as myself. I beat by my own drummer, and I'm proud of it. And I actually beat that tune to everyone because I want people to understand how liberating and wonderful and great life can be when you're living authentically. Now, that does not mean life is not without struggles. I still have struggles, of course. But I just mean those struggles are a lot easier for me to tackle because I'm my authentic self, right? So I'm not pretending to be somebody else. I'm not, hiding parts of myself anymore. So, anyway, I feel like they're having me tell you all of this to kind of illustrate like what these energies, these new energies, this new age of Aquarius we're moving into, it really has the potential to expand. Okay, that's amazing. They're showing me like an egg and also a nut, and it's like bursting open with life and expanding and growing, right? So I just want everybody to keep that in mind, because I know there's also a lot of trauma going on right now. This is 2020. We've had some craziness happen. The year's not over yet. We've got a little, things don't just, it's not like on New Year's Eve, the energy is going to be like, okay, it's New Year's Eve at midnight. No more craziness. 2020 is over. That's not how things work. So energy is a slow transitional process. Just like all year long, all this craziness that's been happening, all this chaos, all this turmoil, that's been, because all this new energy has slowly been trickling in so that we can transform. But that doesn't happen overnight, and our bodies would not be able to handle all of this energy if it just all came in at one time, right? It's like a gradual process. So, you know, some of the 2020 craziness and turmoil and stress might bleed over into the beginning of next year and beyond. We don't know. But we just have to, you know, stay calm, stay connected to ourselves, and navigate it the best we can. And the good news is we are heading into some amazing territory. Anytime I've done readings on this kind of like future energy and transition at the outcome of it, I just feel amazing and euphoric and just, amazing. I don't even know how to describe it. So I feel like, you know, whatever turmoil and trauma that we've been having to undergo, I feel like it's, in the end, it's going to be good. In like a decade, we're going to look back. That's why we told that story about my life. I get it now. So in a decade, we're going to look back and we're going to be like, man, that was a crazy year. But look at how changed things are in society now because of all of the things that were brought to the surface in 2020, right? All the corruption, all the, you know, social injustice still going on, the financial injustices, the, you know, our whole system and structure is very flawed, and what was happening was the flaws were growing and growing because that's where like energy was being put, and that stuff was starting to out of balance all the beauty and the light. So we're just going to be transitioning now back to where the light and the dark are going to be balanced, because that's just how it goes. There's always going to be darkness, there's always going to be light. Part of the challenge is that we have to keep it balanced, just like within ourselves. I'm Italian, I have a temper, I can admit it. I've been known to have a rage or two that just overtakes me, and then when it's over, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed that even happened. And then it's like, what was I even saying during that rage, right? Of anger and anxiety. So, but to be healed, to go to therapy and deal with your issues, that's then, you know, you get to know that side of yourself and you accept it and embrace it. And then once that happens, then you learn how to balance it in within yourself. And then when you have those energies balanced, that's when, you know, life is good and you're right in the middle of, you can step right into flow and manifest and all of that. So, you know, I do want to mention really quick, I'm not talking about the astrology at all, except the fact that the planets are meeting, and it's been over 800 years since that happened. There are a lot of amazing astrologers on YouTube. Do some research, find one that resonates with you, and then let them explain the astrology and the astronomy part of it with the planet alignments and the energies and the rotations and all of that. I just dabble in astrology, so I don't, want to get out of my lane, because I don't, I just am not as knowledgeable, and so I don't want to be misinforming. So let's get on to the reading here. I did not mean to talk that long, but you know how this works. So anyway, we're going to do this reading. What's going to be happening in the next month? What can the collective expect in the next month? Team. Okay. Haven't really shuffled any of these, so I just want to do that quickly. Clarifying the deck. Oh, I didn't really talk about. Okay, so we're going to use Spellcasting Oracle, Energy Oracle, Goddess Power at the end, and we've also got the Starseed Oracle. We're going to use the Green Witch Tarot. and radiant Rider-Waite for clarification. Okay. So, all right. So, I've seen a lot of people online asking, like, what's going to happen on the 21st? Okay, I'm burning the leaves here. And my guides want me to be very clear. This is not an event, okay? Like, 9/11 was an event, right? Pearl Harbor, 9/11. I'm sorry, I'm only thinking of negatives right now. But an election of a president, right? The royal wedding. These are all events that the collective experiences together. And then it's like, we're like, oh, that was an event, right? They want me to make sure everyone's clear. Saturn and Jupiter meeting tomorrow. It's not an event as in this is a big collective event we're all experiencing together. It's more an event in that it's a gradual process, okay? And everybody's on their own timeline and everybody's on their own pace. Like, I've spent 10 years in therapy. I have some friends that have spent no years in therapy. I have some other friends that have spent 3 years, 4 years in therapy, right? So we're all on different journeys. Not that it's a race. It's not. It's just that we're all on different journeys. So there can't be one event that we all experience, right? Because we're all at a different place on our soul growth and our knowledge of the universe and self. So it's a gradual process that's, like I said, it's happening all this year, all this transition, all this change, all this upheaval. It's going to continue to go like that until about February. And then again, February, it's not going to be like, oh, suddenly I can tell all the new energies are done coming in. You know, it's not an event like that. It's an event that we're all going to experience in our own way, based on our own journey and our own connection with the source energy that created us, whatever you call that, God, Allah, you know, the universe, Mother Nature, you know, source. Everybody, it's all the same energy. Everybody just has a different interpretation based on culture and experience. So I just wanted to make that clear, because I've seen some people online like panicking. Like, am I still going to get to see my family after Monday? And it's like, yeah, of course. Nobody's going anywhere, right? It's just that the two consciousnesses are pulling apart. So for the last couple of years, we've had like the 3D reality, which is what we've always lived. This, what I was talking about, structure, go to church, you go to work, you know, there are things you do and you do them in a certain order. That's like a 3D, very 3D way of thinking. The 5D way of thinking is where we're more inclusive, and you can see we've been moving towards that. We're more inclusive with each other. We're more accepting. We try to understand the other person's position. That's the more 5D thinking, where we don't just go straight to fighting, division, and war. We don't, in 5D thinking and the fifth dimension, we're no longer obsessed with this, like, keeping everybody separate, keeping everybody in their box. Like, no, you can't be creative and this. You can only, you know, those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. So how it's been is we've had like people like me on the planet who are a little bit more enlightened, because I've been doing so much work, and the more connected I became with myself, right? The more connected I became with source, and then the more truth I understood for myself and my own journey. And so then when like what I said about my ex-husband, he's not a bad guy. We both just had issues that we weren't dealing with, and then we were constantly triggering each other. And at the time, neither one of us were willing to like face ourselves and face our issues to get over them, right? So that's a very 3D way of thinking. Then I got therapy, and so I started kind of changing my thinking and understanding that, like, he's not, because I used to kind of vilify him, and it was like, it's all his fault, and this is why, and, you know, and I don't really think that way anymore, because I understand we're both just two humans that have our own baggage, and then if you're unwilling to address and look at the baggage and talk about the baggage, that baggage eventually just piles up in between you, and then, you know, you don't like each other anymore. So, so that's what I'm talking about. That was very we were both in the third dimension, because neither one of us wanted to see the other person as a person that's experiencing and hurting, right? But then now I'm in the fifth dimension, because my thinking has completely changed. I've healed all those wounds. Some of those triggers and things that really used to get to me and enrage me or give me anxiety or depression don't at all anymore, because I've dealt with my baggage, right? And I've analyzed it, and I've made friends with it, and I've decided that, you know what, I'm not a bad person because I have this issue. I just have to work harder on this issue so that I am not spewing it all over everyone, right? So now I have a very 5-dimensional way of thinking. But we're still on a planet together where there's still a lot of people here in this old paradigm, this old 3-dimensional, let's just follow the rules, let's just do things how they've always been done, let's not be innovative, let's not think outside the box, I'm afraid, fear, I'm afraid of change. That's 3-dimensional thinking. Now you have also a bunch of people on the planet over the last, I don't know, decade or 15 years or so that have been awakening and understanding and doing the same thing I did on their journey. So now they're also healed and healthy, and they're more of a clear channel, right? So now they've changed their thinking. So now you have this group of people over here in the 5-dimensional thinking. Well, we're all still on the same planet, right? So it's not that you're never going to see your people again. It's just that you're going to start understanding now, I'm in this other group, and I'm not going to be triggered by the people over here not doing their work. I'm going to let them have their experience. I'm not going to try to change them. I'm not going to try to tell them why they're wrong. I'm just going to let them have their experience, because they still must need this 3-dimensional thinking, because they're not yet at the place on their journey to start the changing, right? To start the transition, because you don't just people don't just change. You actually have to put in effort and time, and you have to, you know, I speak a lot on this channel about therapy, because I had depression my entire childhood, my entire life, and literally the last decade I've had it managed and under control, and in 5 years I have not had a depressive episode. And so to me, that is success, right? And I attribute it to therapy, because I went to therapy and I did the hard work, even when I didn't want to. I mean, and trust me, there were times I did not want to, like, at all. Because it was hard. But, you know, I decided I was worth it. It was about me. Did I want to continue living in this fear-based 3rd-dimensional way of thinking? Or did I want relief from my suffering, right? So I moved in this middle transition area, and I started doing the work. And then after years of that, now I'm in this 5-dimensional thinking group, right? So I can see that, like, just when you disagree with somebody, that person's not a bad person. You don't have to fight. You don't have to dislike each other. You just agree to disagree. You just say, listen, I don't agree with you, and that's my right, and that's my truth, and this is your right and your truth, and so I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to convince you. I'm not going to vilify you. I'm just going to continue on with my journey, unbothered, because I'm no longer triggered by you, because I dealt with my issues that would have caused me to be triggered, right? I hope this is making sense. I'm going to stop rambling now, because this is supposed to be a card reading, right? But, okay. I'm sorry, I've just been marinating. They've been sending me messages since yesterday, because they wanted me to do this yesterday, and I just did not get to it. So because I've had all these messages rolling around in my head for 24 hours, I feel like I have a lot more to say on the matter. Okay? So let's just see. In the next month, what can we expect? What can we expect for the energy in the next month? Okay. One more. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. That's the one they want me to take. All right. Rest and rejuvenation. Oh, indecision. All right. Okay. The rest and rejuvenation does not surprise me at all. I've been feeling these energies, like I was talking about earlier, how our body can't handle all these high vibrational energies all at one time, so they do it gradually. Well, that you also may be feeling what they call Ascension Symptoms, which is when you might be feeling more exhausted than you normally do. You might be getting headaches or feeling pressure in the head because that's where your third eye is. And, a lot of people have, that happening right now where their third eye is starting to open and they're starting to see the matrix for what it is. The matrix, the third dimensional paradigm. And they're starting to say, I don't want to live in this paradigm. I want to live over here, right? Because it is a choice. We don't think it's a choice. And I mean, listen, there was a time in my life where I didn't think it was a choice. I thought, this is who I am and this is how I was born, right? But after years of therapy, you realize you have to take personal responsibility for some things and responsibility of self. And sometimes we create our own issues, right? Like by not facing ourselves and our issues, we then create bigger issues, because if we don't face something, the universe has to make a bigger and a bigger ordeal to get our attention. So if we ignore something, like going back to my marriage, I knew I was not happy there. I knew I was not being my authentic self. And I tried. I was with him for 7 years. And for the last 3 years, I kept getting guidance. And I kept getting messages that, this is not where you're supposed to be. And you know this. And why are you staying here? And I was blatantly ignoring them. And I started drinking more, because when I drink, the messages aren't so clear, right? So I started drinking more. I started getting a little self-destructive. And that's because I didn't want to face myself. And I stayed that way for 3 years. And the universe, it started off small, but then things kept getting worse and worse and worse, to the point that then my body was becoming physically ill because I was ignoring myself, right? So that's what I mean. The universe, if we deal with a trigger right away in the moment, or that week, we go to therapy, we talk about this is what happened, and you start investigating, why did this happen? Why did I react like that? Where did that come from? Is this a pattern I have? Maybe did I learn this from somebody around me growing up, right? When you start asking yourself all those questions, you clear out that trigger. And then when you clear out that trigger, you're not going to be triggered anymore by that specific thing. But I was ignoring it. So then the issue kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until I was literally having to have exploratory surgery on my body because they had no idea what was wrong. And there was nothing wrong. It was that I was doing it to myself. I was making myself physically ill because I was refusing to do what I needed to do, which was leave the marriage and get a divorce, right? Because sometimes we build things up in our head and we make them way worse than they actually are. And like I said already, my life is so much better now, 10 years later. So my God, why would I do? And I think back all the time and I'm like, why would I do that? I was so stuck in fear. I was so afraid to investigate my own darkness, my own triggers, my own emotional baggage, that I was willing to stay in a very unhealthy, unhappy, toxic place for a long time. And, the universe was just going to keep making things worse until it got my attention, until I said, enough, okay. And that's what happened. I said, enough, okay, I got a divorce. And then I took the hand of my little child and I took her off to therapy. We can say now, we're so much happier for it, right? So rest and rejuvenation, this is not a surprise to me because I've been feeling extra exhausted. I've been feeling ascension symptoms. And it's because of all these energies, they're trying to move you. They're trying to change you. They're trying to get you to face whatever it is you need to face and move into the new paradigm, the new way of being. And that is tiring and exhausting. And don't get me wrong, I talk, because I've been in therapy for so long, I talk now about it like it's breezy, easy. But it was not in the beginning. I do not want to mislead anyone. It was mentally exhausting. And it was hard, and there was a lot of crying, and I love going. It's like the highlight of my life because it's like a place I can talk about anything and not be judged. But in the beginning, that was a scary process, having to lay your demons out there to somebody. So it takes a lot. You do have to rest and recover when you're doing all of that. So it does not surprise me this card has come out. We have a lot of transitions going on right now, and you need to rest and recover from those transitions. Indecision also doesn't really surprise me because we probably have a lot of people right now wobbling in the in-between here, between the third dimensional paradigm and the fifth dimensional paradigm. And they're still trying to decide, this is hard. And then we have people that are kind of in the middle of the transition who are like, I've been in therapy for a while now. This is hard. It's upsetting. It's exhausting. I don't know if I'm going to continue. So, indecision's not necessarily a bad thing. I just think it's a time for us to take a pause and then really ask ourselves the questions. Am I ready for change? Am I willing to do the work? Am I running from my problems? Questions like that to kind of help you. Because if you can start answering those questions, then you'll move out of the indecision, right? So let's see. Those are the energies supporting the next month. I'd like to see now, what will the collective energies be? What will the collective be feeling? Ooh. Okay, the home card almost came out there. Which makes sense. If we're doing some resting and we've got some indecision going on, we probably want to just be, okay, we got 3 there. We probably do just want to be in our home energy, right? Safe in our home. All right. We have willpower, happiness, ooh, prosperity. All right. So this is good. Even though the energies surrounding us are kind of going to be about being in this pause. I was going to say indecision, and they said to me, no, what you said about the pause was correct. Okay. So this isn't necessarily that we're indecisive. You see here, there's 2 signposts. So we're basically at this place of a pause where we need to rest and rejuvenate and ask ourselves the hard questions. And then when that's done, when we feel ready, we're going to have to choose a path, right? We're going to have to choose what I've been talking about, that third dimensional paradigm or that 5-dimensional paradigm. So in the next month, we're gonna be happy and prosperous in this pause. Okay, we're gonna be in a pause. We're gonna be resting and rejuvenating, but we're gonna be happy and content, and we're still gonna feel prosperous, and our manifesting abilities are still gonna be there. However, I do feel like we're going to have to draw on our willpower a little bit so that we can get out of this pause, right? So that we can make a decision one way or the other. And that's going to take some willpower. So just keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. All right. Now, let's just ask, what obstacles can we expect in the next month? What obstacles can we expect in the collective? Okay, this one wants to come out. The Hanged Man. We need anything else? What obstacles for the collective? Whoa. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. So this is very clear. Okay. So it looks like the obstacle ahead in the next month is moving forward in an enlightened way in love. Okay? But all these cards, okay, we have the Hanged Man, which is about somebody awakening. So there's going to be some awakening going on in the collective. And we're going to start to understand that acting in love is the way. Okay? Using our enlightened thinking, using our higher self as our guide. Your higher self's easily in the 5th dimension, if not higher. So your soul is going to be guiding you in the love department. And this does not, what I'm hearing is this is not, do not make this about a relationship. And I mean, look at, cherries are my favorite thing. And look at all these cherries growing off of this wand. Look at all this, this dove. This is like reminding me of rebirth, okay? So that's the obstacle. The obstacle is we will have abundance and prosperity in these new energies if we can create this new beginning. We have to take action. The wands are about taking action. And this imagery here, this is not usually what the imagery looks like on the Ace of Wands. In this deck in particular, this is about rebirthing. Look at all of this. The clouds are parting and all of that light is coming through and these dark clouds are moving away and we have growth. And I've never ever seen a deck before where the wands have things growing off of them. So, I mean, it might exist. I've just never seen it. So for me, this is a first. I love it. This is great. This is making me feel like this is what our obstacle is. Our obstacle is that we need to move forward in love. And this is not about a relationship. This is about creating a new paradigm, a new way of being, a new way of living. And we need to lead with love. That's what I'm hearing. Because the only way everyone can feel safe to be their authentic selves is in a loving, safe environment. And society has not been, and for some of us, even our parental and familial structures have not been loving, safe environments, okay? So that's our obstacle. Our obstacle in the next month is to rethink and rebirth our way of being, leading with love. And so they're just saying, I was going to pull some more cards, but message is so clear, and they're basically saying, just get guidance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some guidance for us as the collective, and then I'm going to pull they want me to pull a goddess card, because this is we'll get to that in a minute. So they're telling me to just pull the advice. Okay, so let us just see, what is the advice for us in the collective for the next month? What is the advice for the next month so that we can lead with love? Ooh. Anything else? Okay. All right, we have deep cellular healing, Arcturian energy, physical and emotional healing. Okay, I hope you guys can see that. And then activated earth, power places, ley lines, trust where you're led. Okay, and the messages, so, my gosh, the messages today are so clear. Okay, so they're basically saying, in order for us to do this, in order for us to create this activated earth, this amazing new rebirth that I've been talking about here, the only way for us to do that is to face ourselves and heal our physical and emotional healing. Because I can tell you from my own experience, when you start healing your traumas and your triggers, you do have less physical pain or ailments manifest into your body. Since I've been doing this work on myself, I have not had really any kind of sickness, any kind of issue. I haven't had to go to the doctor for anything. You know, I used to have some serious like hip and lower back pain, and I don't really have that as much anymore. So that's because when you start healing your emotional pain and traumas and triggers, that your physical body also heals. And that's what it's going to take for us to create this new earth. Everyone needs to face themselves, face their deepest, darkest part of themselves, and love it. Embrace it. Take that inner child that is struggling or suffering, and you need to pour the love into it that it deserves. You are worthy of doing this work, and the only way we can have a happier, healthier collective is to have a happier, healthier self, right? I say on here a lot, that movie Notorious about B.I.G. and Puff Daddy. I like rap, so I know it maybe seems crazy, but in that movie, they talk about how you can't change the world until you can change yourself. And that's one of my favorite lines. We can't change the world till we can change ourselves. Because that's so powerful, and it's so true. And that's basically what this is saying. Like, it's time for us to step up to the plate, to to pour love into ourselves. The love we deserve, we need to pour it into ourselves. We need to heal. And that's where happiness and prosperity and this new, I mean, look at both of these cards are like amazing. And look at the light. I feel like this light breaking through is what's surrounding these feminines. And if you notice, they're feminines. I just got the message because the divine feminine energy has to lead here. That's why these are both women. Happiness and prosperity. Okay? Even this willpower card is a woman, and she's balancing the moon and the earth in her hands. Okay? And what was I talking about earlier about how we have to balance our dark and light within us? Because if we can't balance it within us, then of course it's not going to be balanced in the outer world, because what's happening inside of the world is a reflection of what's happening inside of us, right? So like if your house is a mess and always full of chaos and there's stuff everywhere and you're tripping all over the place, and that's a reflection of what's happening inside of you emotionally. So that's basically what this is saying, is that the divine feminine energy has to lead here. So that doesn't mean the women have to lead. I mean, the women are going to have to step up and do some leading, but not alone. It means that the men have to put their doing masculine ways aside and go into their heart space and rely on their feminine energy to start leading. We need to start making decisions and creating things in society from our heart space, from the King of Cups, okay? From the heart space, from our emotions. We need to stop creating a society from the thinking space, because look where that has gotten us. We need emotion and compassion and love and empathy in there. All right, so let's see what goddess is going to be supporting us for the next month. These goddess cards are amazing. I'm going to read straight from the book because they're amazing. Okay, so what goddess is going to support us in the next month so that we can start integrating, make some decisions, and move forward on a path that creates this world of love? Because I asked, what is the obstacle? And the obstacle is creating a world from love, right? Because none of us really know how to do that. So that's where we're going to have to use our willpower to really shut that mind down and start living from the heart space with more love, more compassion. Okay, let's see what goddess is going to support us in the next month for that. Okay, this is it. She tried to come out and I thought it's not her, and then as I shuffled, she kept coming out, so it's her. Time. Ehrenhad, time. Number 3. 3s can be about celebration. So let's read what we have here for her. Erin, I've never heard of this goddess, so I'm excited to learn about her. Arianhad. I may be saying it wrong. Time. Right now, you have all the time in the world to reach the fullest potential of your intentions and desires. Arianrod, the Celtic god of time, is your ally. She will ensure your timing is always perfect. The hours will expand to gift you with the space you need to complete anything that you started. Today, recognize that no matter what is in front of you, time is your friend. Consider that everything you intend and desire also has its own relationship to time, and it will all come to you in the perfect form and in the perfect moment. Patience, dedication, and quiet anticipation are delicate yet potent allies now. Arianhad is your champion, and your timing is perfect. Then it says, ask yourself, do you worry there is not enough time or that you might be running out of it? Do you feel that you are too late, too stressed, or too overwhelmed to get where you need to go? This attitude is fueled by fear, which has a strange and unusual power to contract time. Arianhad, the goddess of time, has an alignment task for you. Breathe deeply and trust the process. Know that even if you are temporarily struggling, you will always have enough time to choose how you experience your reality. You can always course correct. Consider this truth. Struggles, disappointments, or seeming delays are all a part of the experience of life on life's terms. Yet Arianhad says, this too shall pass. When cool heads prevail and faith steers your course, treasure is never far away. Call on the goddess Arianhad when you begin to feel overwhelmed, and she will remind you of these truths. Okay? And I'm also being guided to give you quickly, this is a little breathing exercise, breathing meditation. It's very simple. It's very easy to integrate into your life. You can do it at any time. I've done it in my car, in the shower, in the kitchen, in a meeting, with clients, I've done it everywhere. At the grocery store. It's a very simple, easy thing when you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling triggered or you're feeling like you're about to lose it on somebody. It's good to just close your eyes. Okay? You're going to do 6 breaths, 3 ins, 3 outs, okay? 4 count each. Ready? You're going to go in through your nose. Out through your mouth. Okay, for a 4 count. So when you're breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we just did 2. We're going to do 2 more. In. Okay, I feel amazing. It's so silly. I've been doing it for years though. That's a great yogi technique. If you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, on the brink of your emotions about to take you over and you don't understand why, or you just feel like you're spinning out of control, that's a great way to just stop, ground yourself. You can do it anywhere. You can go into the bathroom. You can, like I said, I've been in meetings before where I start feeling anxiety, and of course, I'm not as loud about it, but I do the breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, quietly in my own little part of the meeting, and then that'll calm me down and kind of bring me back to center so I can do what's ahead. Okay? So I just mean, a lot of people make the excuses like, I don't have time to do this work, right? And again, right? I don't have time for all that. I don't have time to do yoga once a day. I don't have time to go to therapy. So, this is just this is not going to fix all your problems, but this breathing is a good coping mechanism because you can do it anywhere. And it's 6 breaths. It takes literally probably 1 minute, maybe if we timed it, 45 seconds even. So just keep in mind that you always have time for what you prioritize, okay? And I'm going to leave you with that. So I hope you found this helpful. I wish you a great rest of your weekend, rest of your day, rest of your week, whenever it is you are seeing this. And find your love and light.